Hello, everyone. Welcome to another fantastic spiritual spotlight. I have the amazing psychic medium here, Katie Manning-Hilton. I think she's coming to us live from Florida.
I am coming to you live from Florida. And as I said to you, I actually zhuzhed up a little bit, but my hair is still wet from the pool. I was in the pool most of the day
Oh,
today. Even took a meeting by the pool.
oh,
So
I love it.
yeah,
Thank you. Thank you so much for
love
being
sunny
here.
Florida. It's good for the soul. I never thought it would be, but it is very good for the soul.
Are you going to be moving down to Florida and leaving us? I love it. Are you going to
We already are. So
You already moved? Oh, you already moved. Okay. So do you travel
yeah,
back?
we already are. And like I still have the house in Schenectady. And so my daughter, I say I ran away from home. My daughter and her boyfriend are living in the house. And my parents live down the street, so I'll be home. I'll be in New York, I should say, going back and forth for both of our families. But yeah, I
love
ran
that.
away from home.
I love it. Do you find that the energy is different in Florida than it is up here in New York?
Very much so. And the first time I ever experienced that, seeing it in different places years ago, there was a great Reiki teacher, master. She's still around, Suzanne Amsler. She's awesome. If you ever get to take a class or see her speak.
Mhm.
And she also teaches Hawaiian energetics. So back in the day, she said to me, oh, like once a year I have to do a retreat and I go to Cape Cod. And when she'd go to Cape Cod, she felt like it kind of renewed her batteries. Well, at the time I had started renting a place in Cape Cod for the kids, and it was a house. And every time I went, it literally felt like it didn't even matter if I was there like just like 4 days.
Yeah.
It literally felt like everything was like, whoo. So there must be something there, this vortex energy. I know Hawaii has it as well, and
Yeah,
Sedona.
it does.
But even here in Florida, like where we are on the West Coast, it literally gives you that kind of like a zap with your energy. It feels youthful.
Wow. I love that.
It's
I love
really
that.
good. Yeah, it's good.
Oh, I love it. So I was reading your bio because I was a stalker, and your
Uh-huh.
mom noticed your psychic abilities when you were 3 years old. So tell us
Yes.
a little bit
I'm
about that.
very much about families. So if anybody has kids or grandkids
Mhm.
that are showing signs of being an indigo, which they didn't have that term
Yeah.
back then, but being a psychic kid, I started at the age of 3, Irish Catholic family.
Wow.
So what initially happened, I'm the youngest of 3, and my mother said the first time she realized I was doing something, I was reading her thoughts. So I would answer her out loud for whatever she was thinking. And the
Right.
first time that it really hit home, what I was doing was she was thinking to herself, she was making dinner, and she was like, oh, I'm all out in her head, I'm all out of milk. I got to go to the market and get milk. I walked out into the kitchen and I said, we go now, we go get milk. And she was like, did I say it or was I thinking it? And after that, she started to play with it more. She was doing
Wow.
like flashcards, and
Yeah.
so we're talking like I'm born in 1966. So this was like around 1970. And there wasn't a lot of information out about
Mhm.
it. And she put me in the cart and she wheeled me up to the corner where the bookmobile was. You guys remember bookmobiles. And bless my mother, she got a book out from the occult section and it talked about kids with psychic ability. And she really thought I would outgrow it. She thought it was just going to go away. And my father was the one, like I would be talking to people and seeing people,
Right.
and I thought it was totally normal, and nobody
Right.
ever made me feel like it wasn't normal. And he would just literally be like, what in the hell is she doing? My mother would be like, don't worry about it, she's going to grow out of it. But
I
obviously I
mean,
didn't.
thank goodness, because in that day and age, a lot of people were not open to those kind of abilities and gifts. So thank goodness that your parents were willing and accepting. Now, do you come from a line of psychics, or are you like the first one?
I actually, it's interesting because I really believe everybody's psychic. I
Right.
really
Same.
believe everybody has ability. I think we have it in varying degrees or ways that we use it. I think a lot of people from my generation, they were told not to pay attention to it. They were actually scared away from it.
Okay.
And a lot of them are coming back to it now.
Wow.
My great grandmother, who I never knew, her name was Edith Mackenzie. She is the only other one on my mom's side that I ever had heard of that actually had real psychic ability. She could do the tea leaves,
Oh,
and she would do premonition. So she did tasseology, and she would just know things.
mhm.
It actually scared her a little bit, because she was so like accurate, that she stopped doing it. And her children, my grandmother and my like great aunt Annie, they all had it, but they were all like fearful of it. So they kind of
Wow.
shied away from it. Interestingly enough, just recently, I have pictures of my great grandmother in Florida. Um, she had moved from originally Nova Scotia, then lived in Red Hook, New York, and then she moved down here to Florida. I was talking to my mother. My mother goes, "Where are you guys again?" I go, "We're right near the Pinellas Trail." She goes, "That's where your grandmother was, your great grandmother."
Yo.
I know. I actually have a picture of her and Leander standing in front of a palm tree,
Do you feel
and it's a
called to where
black and
you're
white
living
photo.
now? Do you feel called to where you live
Excuse me.
now? Do you feel called to where you're living now?
Yes, definitely, definitely. Anything with the water, I'm very much called to. And now with the ocean, either side of the ocean, the east coast or the west coast, I'm very called to.
Oh, wow.
It
Now,
feels it feels good.
now you didn't start like you didn't like with your gifts. You actually did you work like a full-time job and everything before you kind of transitioned to this as being your full-time career?
Yes, and hopefully I'm not saying my story again to people that have heard it over and over again. But so growing up, I was very lucky because my brothers and my dear friends from my neighborhood, nobody made me feel strange. It wasn't like I was doing it all the time, but I
Right.
lived a pretty normal suburban youth going into the 70s and the 80s. And I was a cheerleader in school. I was class president. I was like the class clown.
Mhm.
And then during that time, when I was in high school and junior high, I actually went from having I can remember having less visions, like less contact, and having more dreams. But I also went into a real strong state of empathy. So if I sat next to somebody who just had their heart broken, or
Aw.
they were in love, I would literally feel it, and I would have to talk to them about it. So if I said to them, like, "Don't worry, things are going to be okay," or "You and Bobby are going to get back together," it relieved it from me what I
Yeah.
could see. And so they probably just thought I was just a caring person,
Mhm.
whatever. So the years go on. I got accepted to the College of St. Rose in Albany, and I was going for medical technology. I did not know when I started there in 1984, it is one of the most haunted colleges or campuses in the capital region.
I didn't know that either.
Um, and now they're very open about it. That was only like the second year they had men on campus. They never had boys on campus. So I started immediately when I moved into Lima Hall, started
Mhm.
having experiences, haunted experiences, hearing things, seeing things. And now people talk about it all the time in all
Wow.
different, because think about this. Obviously it's an older school and it's kind of triangulated in
Mhm.
the middle of Albany, but all the buildings, all the homes there, they're old family homes
That makes sense.
that people had their lives, their families, and then they turned them over to dorms. So probably all of that youthful activity and school activity probably just sparked it up.
What
So then from
is
there, I worked in retail. And while I was working in retail, I worked at Mohawk Mall, if anybody is from the capital region. While I worked in Mohawk Mall, I worked for Chess King, and I worked for Wilson Suede Leather. And I would have episodes being around people where I would literally start hearing somebody talking. And
Wow.
I would turn around and there might be somebody over to the side, and I knew it was their family. And I would walk over and I'd say, "Your mother is here. Her name is Mary. She's telling me to tell you, like, thank you for doing her hair before her funeral and all this stuff." And people literally would be like shocked. They'd be like, "Where did you just come from?" And I
Wow.
didn't do it all the time.
Right.
I didn't even know how to turn it on and off, like a
Mhm.
mechanism.
Mhm.
If it was going to happen, it was just going to happen. um, and I would give the message and then I'd move on. From there I started working, excuse me, for the Schenectady Chamber of Commerce. And my job all day was shaking hands. And while I was doing that, I was getting reads on things, and people kind of knew that there was this girl at the chamber that could see
Yeah.
things or know things. So I'd occasionally get a phone call. And then what eventually wound up happening was, while I was I had been out on maternity leave and
Mhm.
came back from my second child. And when I came back, I went to have some dental work done before a board meeting. And when I was in the chair, um, two nurses were talking and they said, "That's so strange about your neighbor. They never heard anything." And immediately it was almost like somebody pulled down a movie screen, Rach, and I could see the image of a missing young man, and he started talking to me. And I grabbed the woman's hand and I said, "Are you talking about?" And I said the young man's name, and she went, "Oh my God." She goes, "Are you psychic?" And so he started talking to me. It changed the whole trajectory of my life, my career, because
Wow.
as a result of that, my parents encouraged me to talk to the police because he was telling me things.
Yeah.
And once I worked with the sheriff's department in Schenectady County, I worked with Harry Baffardi. Harry Baffardi started referring my name on other cases. So while I was working my day job with two kids and still married,
Right.
I was going out at night in the woods, on the weekends in the rain, to different locations
Mhm.
or looking at crime scenes. But I didn't want anybody to know about it. And then eventually, word started to get out, and I started to, because of some teachers at Mohonasen, started booking some small groups, and then it just kept exponentially growing. They were giving, it was all word of mouth, giving out my name, and then in a short period of time, I was booked out while I was working my day job. I was booked out 6 months,
Wow.
and then
Wow.
the next thing I was booked out almost a year, and I was
Yeah.
like, when do you make the decision like that's good? Like nobody goes to their guidance counselor and says, "I'm going to be the next Sylvia Brown," or "I'm going to be the next John Edward,"
Exactly.
and without it sounding crazy. And then that the rest is history. It was 2006, October 13th. It was Friday the 13th, and I left my corporate job and I started doing this, and with no regrets.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I've been doing it ever since.
That's amazing. And what I like about your reading style is that you infuse a lot of positivity and humor. And even though you might be like going into some darker topics, you definitely have a very positive flair with it.
I really try to do that, and that's the human side of
Yeah.
this. I think a lot of people, when they're doing readings, that I can remember even years ago going to something, and I was working with Albany. Was it Albany Ghost Investigations? It doesn't even work. It's not even around anymore. And it was a teacher through Adirondack College,
Uh-huh.
and they had asked other psychics to come in. I was just asked to come in to like work with the group, and they were all so like negative, and they were
Oh,
focused on the negative. And trust me, we know, I mean, we're dealing with death, but there's a lot of negative things that happen. i
right.
don't i don't try and sugarcoat that, but I don't try to make it all about the doom and gloom.
Hmm. Hmm.
So if they have a message, there may be something that's uplifting. And a lot of times, even if it's something like, say you're dating the wrong person
Yeah.
and they're saying that to you, that might be some devastating news. But trust me, most of the time people know that they're not dating the right person.
Won't they?
They always know. They always know. They just don't want to hear it. But then when you say it, they're kind of like, "Yeah, I know."
Now, so
So,
you say, so you have you, okay, so then you have you done ghost hunting? Because I know that you do
oh,
exorcisms.
tons.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
tons.
Anything that
It
sticks out?
started with Albany Ghost.
Yeah.
It started with Albany Ghost Hunters around 2006, and then I was asked. I got a phone call. They make fun of me, the husband and wife. It was called Northeast Paranormal,
Oh
and
my
it
gosh.
was husband and wife and their son Josh at the time. And they called me up because my name was referred, and they said, "Listen, we have a really strange investigation. It's up in like one of the lakes. Could we pick you up and take you?" And I didn't even like check out their background. I was like, "Sure." So we're driving in the car, and thankfully, like the father is a retired Marine and everything, and he's like, "You're a very trusting person." I go, "Well, I guess I'd have to kind of go on my psychic ability." That I literally got into a car with a bunch of other people and just took off for the woods, and did that. So yes, I've gone on many ghost investigations, and I do think it's fascinating because I'm so used to spirit or ghosts
Yeah.
talking inside my head, that
Right.
when things happen external of me, I'm no different than everybody else that goes, like, "Did you hear that? Did you see that?" Because I'm so used to it up here in my head.
I love
So
it.
it's just another way to kind of focus
Tune
in.
in.
I do have to say that when I've worked with ghost investigators, especially with God, why can't can't think of his name, but he has his whole like lab set up. And when we have used that, it has been really interesting because more than one time, the same spirits show up on the ghost box yelling at me,
Really?
specifically targeting me. And they, I've talked about it on my podcast and
Yeah.
stuff where they have called me a redheaded whore.
That is
They've
not
said it in
friendly.
English. They've said it in German. I'll say, so talk to me about what happened. And then you hear, F you redheaded whore. And then months later, we'll go to a place like in Herkimer
Yeah.
and he turns on the equipment and all of a sudden you hear redheaded whore. And everybody in the room goes, like, looks at me. I know there's no other redheads here. And yes, all right, go ahead. So it is interesting to work
Wow.
with different people and now the course of technology has grown so much even
Yeah,
since
yeah.
I started.
Wow. Now, well, you do have a podcast, Psychic on the Scene. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
So Psychic on the Scene was born out of actually a little bit of frustration.
Oh,
It started because I got connected to a young man who was doing a filming project out
wow.
of the capital region. He was and he's pretty open about this, but he was a former heroin addict, and I did not know this,
Mhm.
his friend had died from a heroin overdose. So he was on this journey about the afterlife. And Peter Guidarelli
Mhm.
knew the father and knew the family and said, listen, they would like to talk to you. He'd like to film you. So I said, sure. I'd never had anything like that done before. So I go and I meet them.
Mhm.
And the young man is setting up the microphone and everything. And all of a sudden, this young man, David, is in the room and starts talking and is talking to Bobby, his friend.
Yeah.
And he's giving him all kinds of information. And he was like, you are like freaking me. He goes, I've spoken to other psychics and nobody's ever done that before. Well, as a result of that little thing, they decided to go forward. They were taping a reality television show out of New York City.
Mhm.
I met with it was like at least 3 other psychics, and we were supposed to be like working on cases. So the producer, his name was Campbell McLaren. He was actually pretty well known for reality television shows, and also did some. He owned the WWE at one
Oh, that's
point and
so cool.
sold it, and then
Yeah.
he started like another one in like the South America. So even
Yeah.
like one time we went to like a press party, and there were all these like fighters there, like myself and like one other psychic, and it was like, this is crazy trippy. So anyways, they kept taping it, they kept pitching it, and it wasn't getting thought up. And Campbell McLaren was wonderful to me, and he said, because they kept trying to see if they could do just a show with myself and this one other psychic.
Yeah.
And he came back and he said to me, it would have been very helpful if you had had your own show already or did something like that.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, okay. And I'm thinking, like, how does that happen? So I got off the phone and I was literally ironing. I was ironing my daughter's school uniforms because I lived my life on the D list. And I'm ironing and I'm thinking to myself, yeah, why don't I have my own show? I can have my own show. Everybody's on YouTube. I'll go on YouTube or
So
do
true.
something like that. So called up my girlfriend and I said, who's helped me with a lot of stuff. And I said, I need to have my own show. She was dyeing her hair and called me back. She goes, I know the name of the show, Psychic on the Scene.
Oh, I
So
love it.
within a day, we had it like made sure that we checked out the background. We had it
Yeah.
LLC'd and everything. And then as a result of that, I was asked by Northeast Paranormal to be on a show at iHeartRadio.
Wow.
And it was a year later, I woke up from a sound sleep and I was like, you need to have a podcast. Contact the producer from iHeartRadio.
Yeah.
I messaged him and I said, could I have my own show? And he said, can you start Monday?
Oh, I love
So
it.
I'm very lucky, but I always had it in mind that I wanted to do it like as a co-host thing
Yeah.
and highlight all other different modalities, even
Yes.
things that I'm not used to working
Yeah.
with. So if you follow the show, it's like we just had on Leah Bowden.
Yeah. 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 You have all different. Yeah. Which is
I
awesome.
really appreciate that because I think that really helps other people understand like what we have like as
Absolutely.
humans, and that it's not just one note and it's not
Mhm.
just one way.
Mhm.
People used to hand me tarot cards all the time and say, hey, well, read my tarot cards, and I'd be like, I don't know how to do that.
I know.
Love them, I don't know how to do that. So
And it's definitely like it's wonderful to have psychic mediums who are pulling back the veil and also giving a spotlight, to other healing modalities. Like, I know you've had it on a lot of people. You've even had it on a witch, Michelle, and I love her.
I love Michelle. Yeah, we've done a couple different things like that. What for me, it really is about. And listen, I could be the first one to go. I see dead people. So
Right.
when somebody comes to me and they're talking to me about UFOs, is UFOs my jam? Not really,
Yeah.
but I have to respect the fact that I've taught classes with all people like from different walks of life working
Yeah.
for the state, and I had a show of hands, and I said, "Who here believes in UFOs? How about 100%?" It was kind of
Exactly.
like, "Oh, I guess I gotta get over my own shit and learn more about this so that I am able to give them the information or help them connect with the people that they need to connect with. All about the networking."
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of your classes, I actually took your intuitive classes and they are really good. And do you still teach your classes?
I did do two classes during pandemic.
Uh-huh.
Obviously everything got canceled. I had all these classes booked with Divine Sisterhood, Vicky
Yeah.
Armsby.
Yeah.
And I might have even had one with hippies, witches, and gypsies. Now that I'm thinking about it, but I
Mhm.
had obviously everything got canceled.
Yeah.
So I did do a kind of like this, like a Zoom
Yeah.
session. I think I will go back to it because so many people are asking whether it has to do with meditation and different things with their own
Yeah.
ability. A lot of questions. A lot of people actually discovering how much ability they had
Right.
during that quiet time of pandemic.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Now you also do trips to Ireland. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Because that just looks so cool.
So, anybody that's into manifesting, which I think everybody that does
Yeah.
our job is into manifesting or energy, I have had at the house next to my desk all different kinds of things on this list for manifesting. One
Mm-hmm.
was working at casinos. One was going to Ireland, and also is on there was Scotland, and there was a couple of things like that, but they were really important. So when I got the thing at the casino, I was like, oh my god. So that was a big deal working for the
Yeah.
casino and
Yeah. Which you
probably going
always had a
forward with
sold
that.
out show. Let's say that your show is always sold out. It's at Rivers Casino, and you also did Vapor, and I'm sure you've done
Rivers and
others.
Vapor, yep.
Always sold out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're gonna start to do some down here and hopefully add in some cruises. I know, which is like so like wild. Like, but anyway, so what happened with the trip to Ireland, it was on the list,
Yeah.
and I had just gone through the divorce,
Mm-hmm.
and I went to do a reading for a group of ladies, and it was in Albany, and this very bouncy, sweet woman sat down with super curly hair, and she goes, "Listen, I've been trying to get a hold of you for 2 years." And I'm like, "You have?" And she's like, "Yes, I tried to message you, but whatever." And she goes, "I book trips. I own Pack Your Bag travel." I
Yeah.
go, "Yeah." She goes, "I want to do an Ireland trip for you, and I want us to go and visit haunted Ireland." You could have knocked me over with a feather. I was like, "Yeah, let's do it." Well, we literally started planning it as the country, everything started shutting down.
Yeah. Oh,
So it was 2 years in the waiting, and
wow.
we still had it fully booked. And so when the world opened up, we went to all these haunted castles and locations. We
Yeah.
went to crypts under churches.
Oh my gosh.
It was amazing. And
That is
the people that wound
awesome.
up coming, who some of them I'd never even met before, they were just as amazing. It really was a beautiful trip. So we are going back again in October. There are a few spots
Yeah.
left if you guys are looking. And we are going to more Northern Ireland.
Mhm.
We are going toward one of the places we're going is where the Titanic ship was built.
No
And
way.
I guess
Vincent
it's
would
very,
die.
yeah, I guess it's pretty haunted. And but we're going towards Belfast, and Belfast, like, because the country, obviously that part of the country with what they call the troubles,
Mhm.
hasn't been opened or wasn't open for years, and now they're really encouraging tourism. So we're going to be going to some haunted castles again, and so it's really cool. And I think the next one we're going to do the following year is going to probably be Scotland.
Oh, amazing. Amazing.
I'm
And
very
then,
lucky. So anytime I put out in the universe to everybody listening
yeah.
that I have been absolutely clear about what I want, not
Mhm.
even so much what I don't want, but like this is what's going to happen.
Yeah.
I'm going to have sellout shows. I'm going to have it's literally with part of it is cuz I don't attach any kind of like ego or anything to it. I just know it's going to happen.
Absolutely.
So I put it out there that I'm going to have that happen. It will.
I love that.
And I'm telling you, all of those things, those synchronicities, the right people literally come into your path. It just falls.
And do you
So
find
great.
also when you are manifesting that also the right people attend your trips and come to your shows and you have all your soulmate clients and you just are around the most amazing
Yes.
people? Yeah.
Yes. It's you can go if anybody is doing this professionally, that's listening,
Mhm.
you'll go through a stretch of time. And other psychics, we talk to each other where it literally feels like everybody you talk to is batshit crazy. And you're like, oh my God, I don't know what the universe is doing or what it's trying to teach me, but everybody is batshit crazy. And what happens is, just like anything, you start to wait for it.
Mm.
And it usually takes somebody like a Barb Nesnick or a Suzanne Amsler that goes, then stop what you're doing and start to think of your favorite clients,
Mhm.
your favorite kind of opportunities, and think about like that's what you're replicating. That's what you want to grow. And I guarantee, like overnight, the crazies disappear,
It's so true.
and then you get more of the good clients and the beautiful clients.
It's so true. It's so true. It's so true. Now, so one of the things we were talking about in the beginning is that you were talking about how like the full moon energy. So you work a lot with the moon cycles.
Oh, I do. Back in the day, I used to be a little afraid to even talk about pagan, Wiccan,
Yeah.
and now it's everybody's talking about pagan,
Oh, it's so
Wiccan.
true.
Nobody cares, and everybody's integrated it. And then if you do go to some place like Ireland, they literally are saying, "Well, we got to go to mass, but our family is pagan," and you're like, "Oh, you guys just like throw it out there."
I love
Well,
it.
anyways,
And the
so
full moon is tomorrow.
so the full moon, we had the Jupiter Pluto conjunction this week, and it hasn't been in that alignment since like 1856, and it was all about big, like changes.
Yes.
You could feel it coming. And these last few full moons, new moons, you could feel it coming, but it had more of an anxiety feeling connected to it.
Mhm.
Now, the next part of this weekend's pink full moon is all about releasing resentments, releasing negative people or situations,
Mhm.
grudges. So
Mm.
things that when you look at it, it gives you that factor. Go deeper into that and literally start to let that go. If you're holding on to any kind of ego or negativity connected with those situations, it's time to put it away,
Yeah.
time to purge it. And truthfully, whether it's shamanic energy or things like that that you're working on, as you are releasing that, you're creating good space in your life, in your soul, in your heart, so that the positive can come in. You can get more of the good.
So did
So
speaking
that's
of,
what this full moon
yeah,
is about.
absolutely. And speaking of calling in the good and clearing away energy, I would imagine you kind of went through the same thing when you called in your soulmate.
I have to tell you, I'll tell you guys a story about the soulmate. So obviously, I was married for quite some time and have two beautiful children. It was never a settled or a happy relationship. He was a very negative person, and I was going out every day and making happy for other people
Mhm.
and was not talking at all about my life. Actually, Campbell McLaren, when he was taping us, turned to me and said to me, if you do get a show, everybody's going to know your business.
Oh,
And I
wow.
can actually remember thinking to myself, ooh, I don't think I want anybody knowing about this.
Ooh, what a powerful statement.
And
Don't think about that.
it was and right, that's the stuff that you don't think about with good fortune. And I kind of think the universe did me a favor, because it was right after that the whole
Wow.
marriage fell apart. And I literally came home one day after many different episodes or issues. He was a drinker and he was negative, and I finally just said, okay, I'm done. I'm done. And Once that was over and I started to look at my life and what I wanted, I I dated every loser in the capital region. I dated every narcissist. So I clearly had to learn some other lesson with gaslighting and narcissism that I
Yeah.
didn't know before. And once I got real about it, so that was just before pandemic
Mm.
and going into the holidays of that year, it was like November. I started to do a lot of what they call soul cord cutting. And you don't
Yeah.
just cut the cords, you really have to take the roots out,
Mm-hmm.
because if you cut the cords, they grow back stronger.
Mm-hmm.
So I did religiously, I did soul cord cutting, and I did a lot of release work, meditation, and making peace with being in relationships or being with people that were shit people, and
Yeah.
kind of saying, well, okay, I own that. Now I'm taking that back.
Yeah.
Whatever that was, I learned my lesson. I'm moving on.
Mm-hmm.
So I had always had in my mind's eye and what I wrote out for manifesting the kind of person I wanted, even down to wanting them to drive like a white truck.
Really? Oh, I
So
love that.
yes,
I love that.
like a man coming up on a white horse.
Yeah, I love
I wanted the
that.
white truck. So that was like one of those stupid things that I threw in there. And then he had to be tall and he had to work with his hands and
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff. So out of the blue, this maniac contacts me, and I had spoken to him 5 6 years prior, and he had been married,
Mm-hmm.
and he had a haunting in his house, and his cousin and his friend told him to reach out to Katie. We had
Yeah.
never met, and I told him what to do for the haunting and how
Yeah.
to salt and how to clear the space. I said, but it doesn't sound like it's going to be something that sticks. You can do this. And he's like, how can I pay you? I'm like, no, just take my advice and let me know if it works. He said he never got over that phone call. He said he knew that he was already in a failed marriage. Never spoke to me. He never contacted me. He didn't like reach out and try and flirt with me or
Yeah.
anything. None of that, which I'm grateful for, because that would have been
Absolutely.
ick.
Yeah.
Then out of nowhere, just before the world started shutting down, it was February, just before everything was shut in
Mm-hmm.
New York State. He called me on the phone, and he had referred my name to somebody to help with the haunting. And he goes, by the way, I'm talking really fast because I'm nervous. He said, I've always had a thing for you, and I'm going through a divorce, and I want to take you out on a date when I'm settled. And he goes, I just want you to know, and there's a pause. He goes, I'm coming for you. And I went, what?
I have chills.
And so here's the interesting thing. I kept saying to my girlfriends, I'm not going out anymore to looking for anybody. They know where I am. They can come for me. Everybody knows who I am. They can
And
come
he
for
said
me.
it.
So when he said it, I literally was in my kitchen and I was like, what? And then I waited a couple seconds and I go, what if I already have a boyfriend? And he's waited a couple seconds. He goes, I don't care. So we've been together ever since, engaged, and our kids love each other and everybody gets along. I know it's actually, you talk about a happily ever after. He is my best friend.
I love
So
it. I love
it
it. And
was worth all the crazy, and it was worth the wait.
yeah, and it was at the right time. Also,
It
it's at
was
the
at the
right
right time.
time.
Yep.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Oh,
So I really do believe that we can do a lot of that we hold on to. So and it definitely has that. We have more of an ability. Everybody's saying they like his food. Oh, he does make amazing food.
oh,
It's really hard not to eat literally morning, noon, and night. He would feed me. He keeps saying to me, because I don't care if we wind up on our 600-pound life. He said, because I love watching. I love feeding you, and he's a great cook. I don't cook,
I
so
love it.
uh,
Oh,
yeah. But yeah, you really can truly manifest the people. I think the problem is the opposite.
mm,
Reach is that we hold space, or
mm,
we hold people, or we hold energy that is not good for us.
absolutely.
We
Mm-hmm.
can have everybody tell us, um, realizing it's not in the house. Okay. We can have people tell us that, it's XYZ and that person's no good. I just had a reading today. I said to the woman, I said, you're doing everything for me. I said, I don't believe a word this guy says. I said, I wish I could tell you it was be a happily ever after. I said, you haven't met your soulmate yet. But
Oh,
why would you waste time if you weren't investing in yourself? Why would you waste or spare any energy
yeah.
in somebody? not reciprocating it. If
Yeah.
it's not effortless, I don't care what it is. If it's not effortless money, if it's not effortless joy, if
Mm.
it's not effortless health, but especially if it's not effortless love,
Yeah.
it's not yours. It's not yours. Stop watering dead plants.
I love that. It's so true.
I have no patience for that. And if you get a reading from me like that, that's usually what I say is like, don't waste your time with stuff like that. Make your own magic. And
Yes.
the other stuff falls in place.
Yes. Yes. So I have to ask you this question. I see the mermaid in back of
Okay.
you. Do you ever feel like you were a mermaid in a past life?
I absolutely do.
Yeah.
I used to tell children, when it started to really happen, I love anything with mermaids and
Yeah.
the ocean and all that stuff. And I've always been like that. So it
Yeah.
definitely calls to me. And he, right away, when he met me, was always calling me his mermaid. And he would say to people, I'm taking the mermaid out. I'm feeding the mermaid tonight. And it was just so endearing. But when I'd go to houses and I would do readings, I would literally, the kids' energy was always like really interesting when they'd meet me.
Yeah.
Like they'd get it and without even having to get it, except for most of the mothers would say the psychic is coming and they'd get it mixed up with sidekick.
Oh.
And I like the one little girl answered the door. She goes, "Mom, the sidekick's here." I was thinking I should have a really good sidekick name. But anyways, I always would do the same things with the little boys and little girls. I'd say, "Do you like Disney?" And they'd go, "Yes." And I'd go, "What's your favorite Disney character?" And they'd all do the same thing. They'd look at me and they'd look at my hair and they'd go, "Ariel." And
I
I
was
go,
going to
"Oh,
say,
well,"
yep.
I said, "That's perfect." I go, "Because I'm a land mermaid." So I've had families tell me that after I left, that the kids would say, "When's the land mermaid coming back?"
I love it. Yeah, because this whole entire time, all I have coming in for you is like you were a mermaid at Atlantis. So I don't know.
Oh, yes. We talked about that. Love that. Thank you. Just gave me chills. I definitely feel like that was my deal.
Absolutely. And as I'm saying, as I said it, it's coming in even stronger. Okay, fine. Yes, I got it. Yes, yes. I
And
love
I
it.
totally believe in that too, like the Atlanteans
Yes.
and all those other past.
Lemurians,
Look,
Palladians.
yeah.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
I think there's so many people that as soon as they have like a past life done on them,
Yeah.
and they realize they're Lemurian, and that's why maybe they don't ever fit into things, or they have different kinds of ability.
Hmm.
That it literally is like, oh, it's like a download. Like, oh
Yes.
my god, now I get
Like
it.
bam, bam, bam. And then they
Yep.
find more people that they connect with that actually, oh yeah, I know about limit. You know what I mean? I know about that. I know about that. Yeah.
It's really interesting too. And it kind of ties with it. If anybody
Yeah.
watches Ancient Astronauts, um, that Sylvia Brown years ago used to say that we were basically a mixed
Yes.
race of alien, and you could almost tell.
Yeah.
Excuse me, in the audiences. Do you know? Ever since I heard her say that, I have had so many times where I am someplace and you can literally feel it. Like you can see it in an audience or different
Yeah.
locations, like even an airport,
Yeah.
that you see that they are of a different species that has nothing to do with what's here planetary. And they probably have other work that they're supposed to be here to do.
Wow. 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 What is your, before we open this up for questions, do you, and I'm sure you love all of it. Is there ever like, do you like doing one-on-ones, doing groups, doing classes? Like, what is your favorite thing to do? And it's probably all, but
My like I love doing the podcast. I love
okay.
interviewing people and I
Yeah.
love hearing about other people's work.
Nice.
Um I do like the one-on-ones,
Mhm.
but I really love when I get somebody that is really like starting like infancy in their ability
Aw.
and they have questions, because I can remember that feeling of like, well, now what? Like I've got this and I feel like I'm weird, like just trying to be a normal person in a
Yeah.
weird world.
Yeah.
And like how do you go through that? And I can remember reading different books, and just as I started to do a lot of this stuff, that's when John Edwards was having crossing over. So I
Yeah.
can remember reading some of his books, and I can remember having those like, oh my God moments. I read Lisa Williams and I read his,
Yeah.
and it was a lot of the same things. And I'm thinking, how is it possible that people that never met each other had similar experiences growing up? Like,
Yeah.
there's no way. Like, I can remember calling my mother on the phone and saying, John Edwards said this and Lisa
Mhm,
Williams says
mhm.
this. Like, so it's, really normal. And they would remember things. My mom and dad, even her good friend, remembered things that I did as a child that I don't even remember. I would talk about my other family.
Oh, I love
I would
that.
walk out in the kitchen and I'd say, I'm really tired here. Can I go home now? And my mother would go, Katie, you are home. I'm not understanding. And I'd say, I'm really tired here. Can I go home now?
Oh, I love that. Do you plan on spending any time in New York, or we lost the land mermaid to the water?
Um, the mermaid is mostly going to be here, but I am going back and forth to New York. I haven't, I think Vapor wants me back. My kids are up there,
Yeah.
and and my parents and Jimmy's family, his
Mhm.
parents. So we will be back and forth, but predominantly down here in Florida.
Nice. Nice. Does anybody Oh, I do have one more question. What would you what any advice do you have for somebody who's just opening up their spiritual abilities, or maybe tapping in their psychic senses, and you've been there, done that. What advice would you give to them?
Couple things. The first thing is meditate, meditate, meditate. It's kind of like in real estate where they say location, location, location. And I'm not talking about if you can't meditate and people say, I have trouble shutting off my mind, blah, blah, blah. Just try and do 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes, doing
Yeah.
something that's like chakra clearing, something really easy that you can try and visualize. I prefer guided meditations because
Same.
it lets somebody else do the driving, and it gives me a direction. But just start small and only do what resonates with you. Why do I say that? I love John Edward. Not everybody likes John Edward for meditations. I would try and do the tapes by Sylvia Brown. Sylvia Brown sounded like she was a two-packer a day, and she'd be like,
Oh, she's like,
ah,
ah!
yeah, she'd be like, ah, breathe in, and
I
I'd be
know.
like, okay,
Ah,
I can't relax.
where's
But
Montel Williams?
right. So if you have somebody or some modality like that that helps, try and do that and be really consistent with it. Like, so if you're going to do it 3 times a week or every morning, be consistent about it. Don't spend so much time being a student. Find that have to be students, they literally keep learning, but then they're not acting.
Right.
So start to just do it. Have faith enough in yourself that you can do these things. If something doesn't work for you, or another energy, like another person, another teacher doesn't work for you, don't worry about it. There's hundreds and other ways to do things. Go find it. It'll literally be right at your fingertips.
Absolutely.
Other teachers, but that's really um the thing that I would say to people is like, learn to sit with yourself and trust those voices, those visions, or however you get those feelings that you get, and maybe journal it. But just you don't have to be somebody else. You don't have to be like anybody else.
Yeah. Pick your own lane.
Yes, pick your own lane. What other questions do you guys
Yeah.
have?
What questions? We're going to open up for questions. You can either type them into the chat, or if you want to unmute, you can unmute. I don't know if you can't unmute, let me know and I will unmute you. Any questions? And she said anything goes. You can ask whatever you want, like where do you get your nails done, and how do you have such long nails, and take out your contacts because
I don't wear contacts. The nails I just recently did just before the show at Vapor,
oh,
from my amazing nail girl Alyssa at Lash Boulevard. I
nice.
freaking love her. I
Oh,
said I need bling,
they're
and
gorgeous.
so it's hard to find somebody in Florida. I can tell you
Really?
that of the same. I know, you'd think they'd be on every corner. They're not.
Yeah.
Probably if I went into more maybe like Miami, but that's like hours away.
Oh, okay.
Okay, we got a question. When you manifest a question, sometimes I feel like it. How I couldn't see it.
You may read it too. When you manifest a question, sometimes I feel like it's my own answer that I want, not the spirits. Is it spirits, or is it spirits, do you think, or what I just really want?
Sometimes it's hand in hand, but so that's the same as asking me what's a persistent thought versus a psychic thought.
Mm,
So
question.
it's no different than you get up in the morning and you keep having this feeling like, I need to call Betty Lou. I need to call Betty Lou. And you're like, am I just giving myself anxiety over this, or do I really need to call her? You will get an accompanying feeling. It's not just the thought or the drive or hearing, like almost like a earworm, like a song in your
Yeah.
head. It's it comes along with also an emotion. So that's how you know that it's a psychic thought versus just a random, like it keeps niggling at you. Um, and it's when you hear that voice, John Edward used to say that when he hears the voices, and I agree with this, that when you're not hearing them in different dialogue, you're not hearing them with different dialect, it's usually your voice. Like if you were reading a book, when you read along in a book, you're hearing your voice read the book.
Mhm.
And that's really what your higher mind is. So don't discredit it because you think, "Oh, that's just my wishful thinking." Look at how it makes you feel. If it makes you feel a certain way, I guarantee it's a psychic thought.
Yeah, that's a good question. Anyone else have
Great
any other
question.
questions? She said thank you. Awesome, thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Brittany. Um, what other things? Anything else from you guys? Is Roseanne asking a question?
Roseanne, you have a question? No?
Oh, I thought she asked something. Um, some of the other things, I don't know what kind of modalities you guys are using. Make sure anytime you can get into other classes, and not like go bankrupt doing it, but like say, like Barb Nesnick is doing a drum circle,
Mhm.
or because it may not just be that person that you're going to meet and see, but you're feeling called to do it. Um, those are usually the times when you hook up or meet with somebody else that it winds up being part of your journey.
Yeah.
And I can remember one of the first things I got asked to speak, and it was Janet Tangway from the Albany Chamber, and she had like a bunch of people at this like little cafe, and I was doing readings in like literally like a closet, and it was freezing cold, and I was going to be instructing part of the group, but there was another woman there. It was Suzanne Amsler, and she was showing everybody Reiki. I had never even heard of Reiki. And so I came out and she said, I'll use Katie as my, like basically like demonstration dummy.
Yeah.
And she started to do the thing. She was talking about the positioning of the hands. And every time she put her hands on the side of my head or next to the sides of my head, I can remember thinking to myself, oh my God, I'm gonna faint. Like I felt like I was just gonna like pass right out. And that started a lifelong relationship with her.
Oh.
Haven't seen her in a while, but I wound up taking Reiki, not because I felt like I ever needed to do it for people, but
Mhm.
because I felt like I really needed to know the modality, like how that
Okay.
worked, what was the mechanics of it,
That makes sense.
and have a bigger appreciation. Okay, Karen, just had a reading with you, Rachel, and my answer was going. All right, I can't read it.
I just
It
had a
keeps cutting off.
reading with Rachel, and my answer was going to be a no. And I literally had my mouth open when I heard yes in my head. Sounded like exactly what you were just saying. I was dumbfounded by that.
It's really interesting because sometimes, so there's another part of all of this is our clairvoyance. And if you took my class, Rach, you
Yeah.
remember that I talk in depth about it, that we have the five clairs. So you have clairvoyance, which is clear seeing. We have clairscent, clear smelling, clairaudient, clairgustience, which is clear tasting. We have clairsentience. Now they also have claircognizance. So starting with clairvoyance. Clairvoyance is obviously your third eye, clear seeing. So you might see all of a sudden like an image in your head and it looks like a movie, but it has nothing to do with you. It's not your movie. And you might start to kind of get some of those feelings that you get in your body when you start to go into psychic mode. You can have clairvoyance, almost all the clairs. You can have it objectively and subjectively. So subjectively means I see the images in my head. Objectively means I see it outside of myself, which means sometimes you'll be in a room and 3 people could see the same vision, the ghost walking by, the curtains moving, whatever. And that would be that kind of clairvoyance. Then when you're getting that, you don't try and edit what you're getting. If you get a dark room and it feels bleak, it makes you, how does it make you feel? Does it make you feel scared? That might be somebody's mindset. It could be very symbolic about what that person is going through. And you actually can ask your higher self, like, is this person's mindset, or is this an actual physical room? They will tell you yes or no, like, yes, it's an actual room, or no, it's their mindset. It'll tell you. Then with like clairscent, you could be smelling roses, and you might start to create your own psychic dictionary about when you smell the roses. Is it the Blessed Mother? Is it your grandmother? Is it your spirit guide coming in? But you might want to say it to that person. Nobody else can be smelling that. It could be cigarette smoke. It can be, Gina Tay, but you're going to smell it, and it comes in and comes out. And it literally, again, as soon as you're struck with the smell, it invokes an emotion connected to it. You might hear your name called. You'll be falling asleep, waking up, or just working in the house, and all of a sudden you hear Katie, and it has resonation. So it sounds like it's out, but there's nobody there. That's usually, it can be a mimic. It can be a mimic of a spirit just trying to get your attention. So it might sound like your kids, somebody else that you would know, or can just be you hear somebody talking. But most of the time you'll hear the talking in your head. Unless you're reading for somebody that is of another language, they might actually indicate to you they're of another language because their lips don't move. And then you realize that you're speaking through telepathy, and you can actually say to the person you're reading to, did your grandmother not speak any English? And they'll go, no, she didn't. And say, it's fine. She's communicating. I can just tell because she's not moving her mouth. And then clairgustians, you could be in the middle of the session, and all of a sudden you might taste whiskey. And they're trying to indicate to you that the father might have been like a pretty heavy alcoholic. And you can ask yourself that before you actually say it. Like, okay, is that person, an alcoholic? You might see the letter W while you're doing that. So does that mean the name is Walter or William? You can say, is there a name with a W? Is it a Walter or William? You don't have to, you might see actually William, but you can say, is it a W name? And they will tell you, yes or no. And then the clairsentience is that clear feeling. You're feeling on the body. I started to say about the taste. When you work on murder cases or things that might be like suicides, you might taste blood. You might taste like almost like medicine-y taste or pill taste. And you can say to the person, did they commit suicide? Because you can taste it, or they might say, no, they were shot. And that's what you're getting. And that just validates it. While you're doing all of that, another huge part of this that I cannot forget to say to you guys is always say thank you. If you are ever at a show or reading, most of the time I'm doing it in my head, but I'm saying thank you constantly. Every bit they give me, I go, thank you. Thank you. And sometimes people think I'm saying thank you to the person in front of them, and I'll go, no, not you. It's your family. It's the spirit guides. Oh, no, that's nice that you said you're welcome, but it's not you.
I love it.
And aren't you cute?
We have 2 more questions. Okay.
Go right ahead.
Chris, and then I have one, someone sent me a message. What's the most unique, memorable message you've received? And he said, you're fabulous. Congratulations on your engagement as well.
You're fabulous too. Most unique. Well, I've had a couple. So I'll tell you a scary one. I was working on a missing person case, and I was in the back of a police cruiser, and I kept leaning forward and saying, is your name White, to the police officer? And then I'd see another detective. I go, is your last name White? And they'd go, no, I'm not White. Moving on to the next thing, I kept saying that name over and over again. And finally, the one police officer made note of it. So I was still married, and we had 2 German Shepherds. Our kids were very young. And at the time, my son might have been like 10 years old. And he was getting, every night from the dry heat, he was getting bloody noses. So in the middle of the night, I wake up to what sounded like a television, like the snow on the TV. And I thought, oh God, he left the TV on. So as I started to get up, I could hear both our German shepherds growling. And the room was dark. So when I looked up at where the TV was not on. And my ex-husband was snoring sound asleep.
Yeah.
And I looked at the foot of the bed. And when I looked in the dark at the foot of the bed, it looked like, first I thought it was my son standing there. And I said, "Oh, sweetheart, do you have a bloody nose?" He didn't answer. I said, "Are you okay?" And now as I'm looking at the shape of him, it doesn't look like a little boy. It looks like a young girl with long hair, but she looked wet. Like in the black and white, kind of in the dark in the room, she looked wet. And I went, "Oh, okay. So you're a spirit." So I'm trying to talk to her, and as I'm talking to her, I didn't get anything. She just like popped. The image just disappeared. And I thought, well, I'm still trying to talk to her. Like, are you here? Do you need me? Do you need to give a message? And she didn't answer. It's like 2 a.m. I'm like, screw this. I'm going to sleep. I go to lay down. She was right next to my face, next to the side of the bed. And it literally looked like something like out of a horror movie. Like her skin was that
Oh my gosh.
pale.
All I'm thinking is that movie, The Ring.
Wet.
Oh my
And
gosh.
I literally did, Rachel, I did one of those like, like that. And I turned on every single light. And my ex-husband was like, what is going on? I'm like, there was a girl. She was standing here. So a day later, we get up. It's 5 o'clock in the morning, go to have our coffee. We're sitting on the couch. And as we're sitting on the couch, a news report comes on, and it said that a girl had gone missing. Her last name was White. And
so you know it was her.
I immediately did that, holding the mug of coffee, and I turn around, and my ex-husband goes, "Is that who it was?" I said, "Yep." And he goes, "She's gone." I go, "Yep, she's dead." And I said, "They're going to find her body in water." And it was probably a few days after that they found her body. How about I gave so much detail to the police, I had to be deposed.
Are you serious? They
were the Saratoga police, and they came to the house, and I started giving them information, and the guy goes, "Okay, Mrs. Hilton, we now have to depose you. We have to take your statement." And I went, "Okay." I was sweating. And my father came out of the other room, and he goes, "Everything good?" I go, "Yeah." Like, but apparently I gave too much information that I should not have known. And then what was funny was they were trying to take this statement.
Yeah.
Chris, you'll appreciate this. They're trying to take my statement. I go, "Well, she says that she was stabbed." And she says, and the young detective goes, "Okay, who says?" I go, the girl that was murdered.
Victim.
She says. And finally he turns around and goes to his boss. He puts his hands up and he goes, "How am I supposed to write that? How do I say that in a report that she's talking to a ghost?" And I literally thought to myself, well, that's a you thing. That's
a you.
Yeah, that's a you thing. I don't have to worry about that. But that was probably, Chris, that was one of the most memorable.
All right.
I've
Last
been
question.
touched.
Okay.
I've had different things like that too, in locations where I've been touched.
Wow.
I've had things moved.
Wow.
Yeah, so really interesting things that kind of go far beyond the pale.
Wow. All right. Last question. This is from Melissa Neely. She is saying, how do you balance future readings without taking away someone's power to make that decision if have to repeat the lesson or upset butterfly effect?
Okay, that's actually a great question. One of the reasons I don't read for people that are under 18 is because exactly that, Melissa. I do not want to take away their free will. I think it is too impactful for them to have a reading and they become too analytical, like too black and white about things.
Oh.
So I won't do that. But when it comes to, say, relationships, and it's for a woman, I will say, I try and be very politically correct about it. And I will say, you still have free will. You can walk away from this and not, but your family and spirit is showing me, and I will tell them exactly what I see, like, not good for you. Something is hidden. And I'm using that as an example, but this isn't the path for you. I can remember one lady coming to me and she was convinced that she was supposed to be a country singer. And without laughing in her face, I was like, no. Good luck with that. Enjoy it. Do it Yeah, do it on your own time, but that's not your path. And
Yeah.
I was right. She had somebody that was bilking her for thousands and thousands of dollars to make her you know, country record debut. But yeah, that's it is, you're right. I want people to still use their free will, their free, I'm just a tool for them to maybe make a better decision. And I always feel like, especially when it comes to the relationship stuff, if they're asking, then they're not rock solid in their decision.
Yeah.
There's something there that is they're questioning.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. That was a great question.
Awesome.
Great answer. So
Yes. Any other questions? Anything
any other
else?
questions? Melissa, did you want me to unmute you? I don't know if she wanted me to unmute her or because she sent me a message.
Hi, gorgeous.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, there you go.
You just go with your gut, because there's certain people, when you look at them, you're going to realize that no matter what you say, they're going to be damaged. If you gave them the watered down version or the tougher version, they're still going to have damage with it. And you might even want to say to them, do you really want to know?
Yeah.
I do for some things, there was like one, you have to make this decision, because if you don't say it and somebody else tells you, you're going to keep doing it. So that's where, can I see that stuff to some degree, but my words get tangled because I'm so worried about the butterfly effect.
Worry less about that. Have faith in yourself that if it's coming to you, like if God brings you to it, God will get you through it. If you're getting that, it is usually it's coming from your heart. So it is for their highest and greatest good.
Okay.
I have a little kind of an emotional exercise I have for people, whether it has to do with career, where they are in their life, but especially with relationships. And if they're questioning things, I'll say, well, let's do a little exercise. How would you feel if you were still in that same job 6 months from now, or that same relationship 6 months from now? And sometimes I go, now speed forward. Think about your life in 2 years. Do you still want to be in that same job or that same relationship in 2 years? And usually they go, oh God, no. That's the answer. Not that they want to use you as the fallout, that you put it back on them, Melissa, of saying, you're still the person that has to make these choices and navigate this. You don't leave a psychic's office and go, well, she told me,
Oh, yeah.
I got to pack my bags.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Good question. Good question. All right. Last tips for question. If anybody wants to book a reading with you, what's the best way to get in touch with you? Facebook Messenger?
They can go, they can go through Facebook Messenger, Katie Manning-Hilton. I actually have two Katie Manning-Hiltons. One says Psychic Medium, the other one just says Katie Manning-Hilton. You can go through that. I go to both of them. Or you can go to my website, which is www.katiemanningHilton.com. And be looking for more podcasts. I'm sure we're going to have Melissa back on again. She has been regular on the show. And hopefully more trips and things like that. So if you guys, even if you have questions about your own development or something comes up that's kind of weird or quirky, if I don't know about it, I can tell you who will know about it. So just shoot me a text.
Awesome. Well, thank you.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much.
Yeah. Thank you for being on our lovely Spiritual Spotlight series. I really appreciate you being open and talking about your experience and answering everybody's questions. And thank you everybody for joining. And I hope everybody has a great night. Happy Easter. Don't forget the full moons tomorrow. So whatever crap you want to let go of, make sure you release it, write it out, let it go to the universe. So everyone says thank you.
100%. Good.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you guys.
Bye.
Happy Easter. Bye. Bye.